What is the government hiding from you? It turns out a lot. A blocked report from the government has just seen the light of day, and this is relating to fluoride. Biden health officials suppressed a government study that showed that there is no safe level of fluoride in water supply and that it can lower IQ in children and harm pregnant women. The only reason we know about this is thanks to a lawsuit that forced the Biden administration to turn over the documents. But first, just look at the places that do have fluoride in the water. This map is courtesy of the British Fluoridation Society. Fluoride in the water is a funny thing, right? The government says we need it to protect our teeth, and our teeth need protection because the modern diet is so degrading on teeth enamel and full of sugar and processed foods that grind down our teeth. It's a vicious cycle, right? So the government, in response to this, has decided to fix our food chain. Just kidding. They're not. Right, they're not going to do anything of the sort.
Instead of all the processed food, we'll get rid of that. No, instead, we're going to mask it with chemicals in the water.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's how we roll.
And there was never any real research on the effects of this. And now that there is some, the government is trying to hide that research about the possible negative effect of fluoride. A group called the Fluoride Action Network has sued the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA. The EPA is being defended by the Justice Department. So you and your tax dollars are defending this. You're defending their right to maybe hurt you and your kids. That's how it works.
By putting fluoride in the water.
Because we pay our taxes and the Justice Department is taxpayer funded. So we are then all in on protecting the EPA. We have to be. But in this suit, they sought for the release of a report called the National Toxicology Program. And here is the report in question. Why do we have it? Because a judge ruled that we should. The Justice Department had asked for this report not to be released, and the judge ruled against them. Prior to that, the report was blocked from publication by Assistant Health Secretary Rachel Levine. You may recall that Rachel Levine is a transgender person that says that doctors should be trans advocates for medical transition. So this person's A-okay with foreign chemicals in the body. We already know this. Here is the email in question where someone is asking like, hey, we got a heads up from the NIH about this report coming out soon and fluoride and the, effects on IQ. Assume you're aware. Do we need to chat? That is, I think that's masking like, yikes, this is going to suck. We need to talk about it. To which this person responds, thanks so much. Assistant Health Secretary Levine has put it on hold until further notice. Like we should be freaking out, but for now it's been buried.
So Levine has other things to do. She's out getting Woman of the Year awards. Too busy to release this report on damaging fluoride effects on children.
Right. I mean, we've talked many times about the pharmaceuticals that are put in transgender children in order to treat gender dysphoria. It does not solve gender dysphoria. It only hurts their bodies. Rachel Levine is totally fine with that. So, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, so back in like 2008, 2009, when I first started my journey, I started watching Alex Jones. And Alex Jones complained about fluoride in the water and was actually fighting his local government in Austin, Texas, to stop from putting fluoride in the water. He was like, that was one of his big things back that long ago.
Yeah, I remember hearing about this years ago and wondering like, oh, is there fluoride in our water? Then we got a water filtration system in New Jersey because the water was so bad. I mean, there were so many chemicals in that water.
Yeah.
As a kid, I think it was like kindergarten or first grade, they used to give us in the school. And if anyone remembers this, I was in New Jersey at the time, a little plastic cup every morning. And they'd put like one little pink fluoride tablet in the cup and you had to like chew it. And you had to chew it. It was like chalky. And it was like the first thing you had to do when you got to school, have your fluoride tablet.
No,
and that was like,
we had that, but it was liquid.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we had it. Yeah. I remember that.
No, but our pediatrician would regularly try and the pediatrician that treated my kids would give us prescriptions for it to give the kids as well. And I did not fill those prescriptions because I was concerned about it.
Good.
So
it was just me that had the pills then.
Yeah. Okay. Then we're just going to have to worry about you. Now, this happy to chat bit in the email tells me that they do not want any more of a paper trail. on this, that this email in and of itself is damaging
Like,
enough.
let's chat on the phone.
Yes, that's usually like
Right,
speak for.
Don't type it out.
Let's bring this off
call.
of a paper
Let's
trail.
walk to the park near the Washington Monument, and I'll bring a newspaper and I'll sit on a park bench. If you see me go like this, then you can sit down next to me.
Right.
Like, we'll talk about it.
I didn't go that far in that scenario, but I like it.
I'm thinking
I
like
where you're
the
going.
Americans, like spy network or something. But that's what this is. We don't want you to talk on a paper trail. We want to do this clandestinely.
And they even have to do it on like burner phones, because remember the call we heard from I can't remember the lady's name, but the Ukraine thing where they're like, oh yeah, F them, like that phone conversation that got leaked.
Oh, yeah.
So they probably have to
Victoria
use
Nuland.
burner phones because Victoria Nuland.
All right. So here is what the report found. I'm only going to give you the summary because they looked at around, I believe it was 55 different studies, and they sort of did a compendium of them, and they found that here is the results. Let's just read it. In adults, only 2 high-quality cross-sectional studies examining cognitive effects were available. The literature in children was more extensive and was separated into 2 studies assessing IQ and studies assessing other cognitive or neurodevelopmental outcomes. 8 of 9 high-quality studies examining other cognitive or neurodevelopmental outcomes reported association with fluoride exposure. 72 studies assessed the association between fluoride exposure and IQ in children. 19 of those studies were considered to be high quality. Of these, 18 reported an association between higher fluoride exposure and lower IQ in children. The 18 studies, which include 3 prospective cohort studies and 15 cross-sectional studies, were conducted in 5 different countries. 46 of the 53 low-quality studies in children also found evidence of an association between higher fluoride exposure and lower IQ in children. These studies have been going on since at least 2000. Not the studies. The case. This litigation has been going on since at least 2017. And what this group wants, the group that's litigating, is for the EPA to regulate the fluoridation of drinking water supply under Section 6A because they maintain the ingestion of fluoride poses an unreasonable risk of neurotoxic harm to humans. And the EPA continues to deny the plaintiff's petition. The plaintiffs filed this suit seeking judicial review of the EPA's determination, meaning because the EPA is just refusing. They're saying we're not going to look at it and we're not going to regulate it. So they want the court to make them, basically. So then the court becomes the scientist because the court has to see this and say, yeah, absolutely, there is a risk here. And so the court has to determine what the EPA is refusing to do.
There's one thing that the government, United States government, is responsible for. That is the protection and security of its people, right? And how many times are we seeing evidence that they're doing the exact opposite? The Environmental Protection Agency is supposed to protect us from environmental toxins. They literally have studies, 46 out of 53 studies that they've now shown that it raises incredible problems for young children and adults.
Yeah.
And they're putting this into the water. It's not like they found it as a chemical that's seeping out of rocks where fluoride comes from. They're adding it to the water and they're suppressing it, not protecting people. That's astonishing to me.
Right. And again, it's largely a result as the high sugar content in the American diet. So they're protecting, they're insulating and enabling a bad diet in order to continue to, profit from that, and refusing to, what this group is saying is, we want you to look into this and regulate it. And they're saying, no, you can't make me. And so now I think this is an example of the court system working for what it's meant to do, which is saying, yeah, we have the right, we the people, it's in the public interest for us to see this and for you to do your job. And this group has the right to come to a court to make you. The release of this report earned the attention of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Children's Health Defense Chairman and Chief Litigation Counsel, who has spoken a few times on this show about the COVID vaccine. But about this, he says, these findings fly in the face of the empty, unscientific claims U.S. health officials have propagated for years, namely that water fluoridation is safe and beneficial. He says it's past time to eliminate this neurotoxin from our water supply. I do want to put a pin in this word neurotoxin because, this is a word that means that something's corroborated or something is connected with problems with neurology, things that are known to cause, say, dementia or Alzheimer's. The cancer industry did a great job of getting the word carcinogen to put on our radar. So now we know things that are related to cancer is carcinogenic.
Right.
And so now this is something that I think we all should pay attention to is what is a neurotoxin? Endocrine disruptors are a neurotoxin. Gum inflammation is associated as a neurotoxin.
What is an endocrine disruptor? Like something?
It's something that's it's shifting the balance of your natural hormones.
Like what's a common endocrine disruptor?
Hormonal birth control.
Birth control. Okay.
Or Tylenol has been known to be an endocrine disruptor. Synthetic hormones that we put in transgender children is absolutely an endocrine disruptor. And I think it's important that we start to use this word in the same way we use carcinogenic. We know cigarettes are carcinogenic. Now we know other things are neurotoxins. And in fact, a bad diet is a neurotoxin. Things that contribute to the decline of your cognition and your brain function are neurotoxins. And we need to use this word and call out things that we are regularly exposed to, that we're paying our taxes for our government to prevent us from being exposed to. So is fluoride a neurotoxin? Research is suggesting that there is a strong connection that it is, and the U.S. clearly just does not want to deal with this, incidentally, because they have been adding fluoride to water since 1945.
Unbelievable. Well, send Pete Buttigieg out to investigate if the water is toxic. He'll be there in a couple of weeks. Unbelievable. What's so sad about these things is over the past year, we've covered no short of like 4 or 5 different stories that we only learned about on this show because, well, the information was redacted initially, but because of Freedom of Information Act requests or lawsuits, we learned about Pfizer documents.
Yeah.
We've learned through Freedom of Information Act requests. We've learned about through lawsuits a number of key things that we wouldn't have learned about because the government suppressed it.
But I think that is an indication of the court system working, and I find encouragement in that. And at a time when we're always like, oh, the government just won't do the right thing.
Right.
At least we still have this bastion of, some recourse to reclaim power that is lost. Whether it always works, absolutely, that's not the case. But at least we do still have some pieces of the justice system that are working, and I'm encouraged by that.
Well, and really quick, I want to add to that, it used to be a lot harder to find this information. They used to do a lot of this in the dark of night because there was no social media. There was nobody really, paying attention to stuff. And now they're getting held to account a lot more. And so, they're not able to hide things. So now they're doing a lot of this publicly. Like we're getting these phone calls. We're seeing these meetings and we're seeing what they're doing behind the scenes. And like they say, sunshine is the best, disinfectant or whatever. So, we're seeing what they're doing more and more. And I think that that's good because, like you said, it gives us the ability to take action on it.
And, when things like Twitter that allow us to share this stuff now in a way that we didn't used to because it would get suppressed and blocked. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.